Okay, you guys can tell that something is not here. So last video I made mention that I was getting another LT4. I can safely say that I'm not getting another LT4. I'll get another LT4 car before I get another LT4. Honestly, I knew the price was too good to be true. The guy still had it listed for sale as of last night. But you guys are going to love the story, right? So, I know everybody's had their fair share of... Hang on, let me do this so everybody can see the giant mess that I've got in the garage. So I know everybody's had horror stories on Facebook, and this probably isn't any different than any other horror story that is on Facebook Marketplace. But here's the deal, all right? I'd reached out to this guy that was in a Facebook group that I'm also in and asked, hey, is your LT4 that you have available, is it really an LT4? And this is around Christmas. It was around Christmas. It was Christmas week. Anyway, my timeline is going to be all skewed, and I don't want to make it super obvious as to who this guy is, just in case he ends up not actually being a scammer and is actually a real person. Don't go bothering him or whatever. But anyway, buyer beware, right? So the guy had the motor listed for $2,500. I tried lowballing him. You could tell I was joking about it, but I tried to lowball him because, only a fool pays asking price, right? That's my shtick there, right? A person who is good and savvy at finding a deal never pays asking. Never paid asking. Never paid asking. Never paid asking. So basically, in this business, actually buying stuff, I'm not concerned with your history on it. I'm not buying your history of the car. I'm not buying your love of the car. I'm paying for what it is worth, okay? And just because, like say this RX-7, for example, I've had this thing for years. I've done a lot of things to it. Frankly, it's been quite neglected the last couple of years because Corvette's been taking up all the money. Well, what's going to end up happening is that's going to change here soon. And the RX-7 is going to start getting money put back into it. Anyway, that being said, all the things that I've done to the car do not make it more valuable. I that's something that the Corvette community just really doesn't understand. And a lot of people call me the anti-Corvette guy. I get that, but at the same time, I am a Corvette guy. There's a lot of things that I do that are quite stereotypical of a Corvette guy. Anyway, getting back to the story. So I was basically the guy and I had set up to transact the motor the weekend after the New Year's Day, right? I'm not going to drive during the week. I was off. I told him I was off, and we both pretty much had our schedules open, and Thursday come rolling around after New Year's, and I was like, hey, just wanting to make sure that, we're good to go. And I had offered to put money down on the motor, and he agreed to take money down on the motor. Although when it came time to actually giving him money down, he didn't want to take the money. What ended up happening, though, like right after that, the guy just started getting weird. And ended up, whether he had a baby or not, I don't care. Honestly, if you're checking your messages as often as he was, then, you can at least say, hey, nope, we're still, this is the plan, whatever. So anyway, I'm trying to make plans because you guys know I've got projects going, right? So I'm trying to make plans on what I want to do, whether I want to take this money and buy performance parts for my LT4, or if I want to divert it into another LT4. And then with the baby on the way, I can just kind of spread the cost of rebuilding my LT4 out and build it way better than I was initially going to, right? Okay, so, that makes sense, right? So I'm sitting here trying to figure out what I want to do in my head. So basically, whatever come up in his life, he couldn't he could not take money from me for a deposit, and he also couldn't he couldn't meet with me that weekend, right? But he did give me his address, and he didn't give me his phone number, but I gave him my phone number just in case he needed to get a hold of me. And I was just like, hey, call me, let me know, keep me in the loop. And we just basically were mutually like, okay, well, basically wait for his life to stabilize, and then he'll be back on board with selling it. Well, I end up, it was that Saturday night, Sunday morning. I wake up in Sunday morning, after being like, okay, well, I can't get down there now to get the motor unless I do a juggernaut drive and do an 18-hour drive. It would have been worth it because, $2,500 for an LT4 is pretty good money for, I'm not paying $5,000 for a motor. I just am not. The thing is, I could do a stock rebuild and end up less than it would be to get a motor. Basically, I'll have a brand new motor, tentatively speaking, brand new motor rather than somebody's junkyard motor, right? So I was like, well, I'll put, yes, I understand it's a bunch of engine swapping, but I don't care. It's my money. It's my time, right? So I had taken the covers off, and I have not touched the car since I sent him a video, and I'm like, okay, just making double sure. And this is before he had, had life come up. I was like, hey, take some pictures of this spot, and this spot, just in case the LT4 had been swapped out, because somebody may have done what I did. And then he bought it, and it was an LT1. So anyway, his story was he was going to put a 383 in this thing. All right, cool. He had an LT4 car. He's going to put a 383 in it. Now, what doesn't make sense is all of a sudden, Sunday, the Sunday after New Year's, or that weekend, right? The Sunday, he posted the transmission and the convertible top, or the hard top, for sale. And I was like, that's interesting. So maybe he forgot to message me that everything's good to go. So I messaged him. I was like, hey, just, I saw you listed some stuff. We good to go on the motor. Can we make arrangements to get down there? Well, he saw the message, didn't respond. So I gave him a day, messaged him again. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Saw my message, didn't respond. And I'm like, okay, all right, well, at this point, the dude is clearly ignoring me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him another 48 hours, and if he messages me back, then we'll go for it. But I kind of wanted to see how things would go. So I went to work the next week, and then it was Thursday. I was coming home from work on Thursday, and I was like, hey, what's going on? Nothing. So I'm like, okay, he did the same thing. He looked at my message. So I got onto another account that I've got, and I messaged him on that account, pretending to be somebody completely different. Well, he immediately responded, said, nope, motor's sold. And I was like, okay, cool, not a problem. And then I look at my other account, and he finally, about, I don't remember what the time was, but it was a little while later, responds to my regular account and says, yeah, we're good to go. I'm back in action. When are you able to come get it? And I was like, well, I can't keep in mind that another week had gone by. So, this whole last week was another issue. But anyway, that week I told him, I was like, I can't make it down because I'm not going to be able to sort my schedule out enough, soon enough to get down there. But the following week I can get down there. Right. So, and I'm pretty sure that the motor's back on, right? So we're about ready he sends me a picture of the motor, sends me a couple of videos of it running, before he took the motor out. And, he's like, okay, well, it is what it is. And over the weekend, he's talking to me about it, and we're talking back and forth about it, basically building up a rapport like, hey, I am coming to get this motor. I'm coming to get the motor. And I didn't really think too much that the guy hadn't put pending on the listing, and frankly, I had already tried to put money down on it. And if he was, he seemed like he was a pretty straight shooter to me in his feedback. There was a guy that said that, and it kind of made me comfortable with dealing with him. Basically, that the dude was a straight shooter and, wouldn't sell it out from underneath somebody because, even though that other person had been counter-offered and, other people had offered more and stuff like that. So, after my interaction, I kind of see that, no, he probably didn't have any other buyers, and he was just telling the guy that. But anyway, it's very interesting because, I'm sitting here, $2,500, dude. $2,500, I'm going to drive to you, pick up your motor, and, you're going to have that, right? Well, at this point in time, I'm him hauling, because I had to move money around to make sure that I had enough to travel down there. And I didn't sell anything or anything like that. I didn't take money out of savings or anything, but I moved some stuff around bill wise. I paid a bill the following week rather than that week to make sure that I had enough to float. That way I'm not digging into any savings or using a credit card or whatever. You guys know the drill. Stuff comes up short notice, and you want to make sure you got the funds to do it, right? Well, so the last weekend comes and goes, and then I'm at work again this week, and suddenly he comes out with, hey, dude, just so you know, I'm in a spot, and I need the money right now. And keep in mind, because I wouldn't come get it the weekend before, or I didn't have the time off to come get it the weekend before. Dude actually messaged my other account and said, "Oh, buyer backed out." I'm like, okay. It's funny because the buyer's still talking to you, right? So I'm like, okay, let's play this. Let's play this game. So I messaged him back and forth with the other account, and he was totally willing to sell to my other account and ship it out from under me. So me, on my other account, up until that point, I thought I was dealing with somebody who wasn't bullshitting me, right? And I thought he was a straight shooter. And, I understand he's got a family and supposedly has a family and supposedly has things going on in the background. I get it. I've been there too, but I don't cut my nose off to spite my face. And you guys are probably gonna laugh about this, right? So anyway, my alt account backed out because of issues that my alt account had. Because I'm like, I don't want to screw myself over by screwing myself over, if you guys know what I'm saying. So I backed out on the other account, and I'm still talking to him on my main account, which is my marketplace account. And I'm talking to him, and we're making plans. I was like, hey, this, not this weekend, but the following weekend. So the day I'm recording this now, I was not going to be able to make it down, but the weekend after, I had things going on with family. Everything was already planned. Couldn't get around it, right? And, and he's a family man. He understands too, but I'm giving him his $2,500 the following weekend. So $2,500 is what I was going to give this guy, not this weekend that you're seeing this, but I was going to give it to him the weekend after. So I'm trying to make sure that the plan is nailed down. We are good to go. And I offered to come down there and pick the motor up. It just was going to be a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. All right, so Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And I also had offered to put money down on it. Now, this day and age, putting money down on something is kind of scary because there's a lot of people that want to scam you, right? Which sucks because it undermines the honesty of everybody else. So I'm sitting here waiting for this guy to respond to me that not this weekend, but the weekend after, I will be coming down there. I can either make it down there Friday evening, I can make it there Saturday morning, but my intention was to drive down there, spend the night, and then get the motor and come back home, right? Take the family down there, do a little mini vacation, right? Where he's from, my dad's not far from down there, so it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, right? Would have been killing two birds with one stone. Go see my dad, go see some lions and tigers, and then come back, right? Got a new motor on the way down there. Would have been fine. I spend more money on any given weekend than I would have going down there and coming back. It probably would have been a cheap weekend for me, but anyway, I digress. So he messages me, middle of the week, and he says, "Hey, dude, just so you know, I really need the money. Can you get here now?" And I was like, I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, well, technically I can, but if I do, I take day off on Friday because I work for myself Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? And on a slow week, on a slow weekend, I'm making $600-700 a day. So I'm now taking time out of a commitment that I've already committed to working this weekend, right? And I've already got my work done this weekend, so I'm ahead of the schedule, right? So I mean, even though I'm working a couple hours a day on the weekends, it's not that I have to be here in order to do that work, is what I'm saying. So I can't just go on the road and do it, right? So the guy messages me and he's like, "Hey man, I need the money now." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll be there Saturday." I said, I'll pull my commitment for Saturday. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's going to cost me money that I wasn't planning to lose this week because I knew I had a guaranteed thing on Saturday. So ditching my obligation for Saturday, I messaged him. I said, "Okay, but it's going to be $2,000 I'm giving you. I will give you $2,000 cash on Saturday morning. Just let me know. Let me know if that's all right." And dude, fucking comes, things come and go. And I'm like, as the week gets closer, I look at Thursday and I'm like, okay, well, Friday I need to be giving this guy a buzz, seeing if things are still good for Saturday. Funny enough, my Friday engagement had cleared up. So I had all of Friday clear. So yesterday would have been clear for me. Funny enough, I look at the ad and he dropped the price to $1,900 from $2,500. And I was like, "Hey, whoa, dude, I'm paraphrasing, but I basically said, 'Hey, dude, I'm off Friday. Let me come get this tomorrow. I'll be giving you the $2,000 that we agreed on, or that I agreed that I would give you.'" And then, because he didn't tell me $2,000 was okay, but obviously if he's willing to put $1,900 on his ad, I'm like, "Hey, dude, don't undercut yourself. You'll save yourself $100 if you just wait until tomorrow," right? So I'm messaging him this on Thursday, right? Now, he has a car. He has pulled the motor, transmission off of it, and he doesn't have a title for it. And I come find all this out, through the course of this whole engagement. It is what it is. But anyway, he messages me back, and I'm like, I'm like, "Okay, cool, we're ready to go." No, that wasn't what he messaged. He said, Hey, I got somebody coming to get it tomorrow. I was like, dude, that's so fucked up. Keep in mind, me and him have been talking back and forth for a couple of weeks now about me getting this motor. And then he went on this spiel about how he wanted me to get the motor because it was perfect for my project. And, he felt bad for not, like breaking the kids' plans and, coming down and having a little mini vacation when they got down to where, picking a motor up. It don't matter. It don't matter. Kids have been through this, Upper Peninsula of Michigan, Tennessee. One down the street from him was one of my excursions, literally like an hour to the east of where this guy lived. And, I bought an excursion, quite honestly, close to me. That just happened to have been a fluke because I was pulling out of the river and there it was. And the guy run me down because he saw I had... Anyway. Getting distracted, getting excited. So anyway, I was like, dude, that's pretty fucked up, dude. Or something to that regards, like, dude, what the fuck, And I told it, and the dude's like, well, I told you he didn't never give me the impression he was going to sell this thing locally before he was going to sell it to somebody that he was telling that he was going to sell it to, right? Now, I understand, cash is king, right? Cash is king. But when you're dealing with somebody long distance and you know that they're long distance and you know they're willing to drive to you, whether or not he knew that I was willing to drive to him or not, I don't know. Whether he was spooked about that prospect, I don't know. Regardless, if he was spooked about that, he didn't need to be continuing to talk to me. Well, anyway. So I went on and I just basically told him, I was like, dude, I'm literally coming to you. I'm literally coming to you. You're not shipping it. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, it is what it is. So I just left it at that. And he said, well, I was trying to be honest with you. I was trying to do this. I was trying to do that. And then, I'm like, okay, this dude's either fucking with me. Sorry about that. This dude's either messing with me or something's going on. Because he'd already told my other account it's sold, then it's not sold. And then I had backed out, or the buyer had backed out. Which clearly I didn't. But anyway, so I messaged him with my alt account like a few hours later. I was like, hey, I see it listed, it's down. We're ready to go. If you're ready to go, this is great because I'm back in business to buy a motor. $1,900. That's pretty good, right? Pretty good for a used motor. At that point, it puts it in high LT1 territory from what I've been seeing for listings for LT1s. So him and I go back and forth a little bit, and then he's giving me a play-by-play of this guy that had brought his wife down yesterday to look at, and I did the math. When I was talking to him, and he was talking about this guy that had come down, I would have been there too. I would have been able to make it down there, pick up that motor, and head home. So, dude could have had 2,000, but instead he doesn't have 2,000. Anyway, it gets even better, right? So the dude goes on and tells me everything that's going on, and then he's like, oh, dude left. I didn't figure when he started talking to his wife that it would be a deal. And I'm like, dude, okay, whatever. So anyway, he says, it's all yours. And I'm like, okay. So he was okay with me wiring him money to get this motor, right? And he was not okay with my other account giving him $100 to hold the motor. But he also in my other account said, dude, send me all the money. This is like before when he's like pretending to be desperate. He said, dude, send me all the money and I will write up a contract saying that, it's yours, right? So I'm like, no, I will give you cash in hand. I'm not going to send $2,500, $2,000, or any money to anybody that's already being a little weird with me. Anyway, I digress. So, I mean, I could have made the trip a little different. Like, say I went down there and the dude spooked out on me and flew the coop. No big deal. Go to my dad's. It would have been not that big a deal. It wouldn't have been the end of the world. So it wouldn't have been, that dramatic of a turn of events. It would have been typical. But, I mean, I haven't been in this situation much, I would say. But anyway, getting back to it, I keep getting distracted because the adult ADHD, I'll just use that excuse. But anyway, so dude messages my other account, $1,900 is the price. He's going to figure out shipping cost. And then I was like, well, so I messaged myself, set it all up, and then I messaged him. I was like, ooh, actually, on second thought, dude, messaged my buddy. I made it look pretty legit. Dude thought it was me talking to somebody else. I was talking to myself, though. But anyway, he took a couple of screenshots and took some things that I had said out of context, which I had the power of, I had the whole conversation because I was there the whole time in my back pocket, which he didn't. But I was like, whatever, dude. Well, I'm not buying the motor. And then he basically, dude crashed out and he basically said, no, you can't tell me that you're not buying the motor. You're not buying the motor because I don't want to sell it to you, and I'm not selling it to that other guy too. So basically, like saying, you can't fire me. I quit. That sort of thing. And I was like, okay, whatever. I wasn't going to buy the motor off of you, but basically like, hey, And then he said that I was cussing at him. I wasn't cussing at him. I said, dude, what the fuck? Whatever. Some people have a pretty thin skin. He goes on to, oh goodness. Anyway, he crashed out so hard that he modified the listing again. First $1,000 that comes by, cash, gets it. From what I've seen, the pictures and everything that I saw, it is an LT4. And if you end up getting an LT4 with like 118,000 miles on it from some dude down south, and it's the only one for sale. But anyway, if you end up getting one, I would just say cash in hand only. It might run, it might not. And for all I know, the car is probably stolen. I don't know. That's probably why he's trying to get off of it as quick as he is. And that's why he's getting as sketchy as he is. But I don't know. It's one of the wilder things that I've had happen to me on Facebook Marketplace. Another story, I'll tell you another story that happened to me. I drove 3 hours one way to look at a Corvette. And I drove 3 hours to go to look at a Corvette, right? Set everything up, set time and everything. The only thing I didn't get before I headed out was an address, which was kind of foolish on my part. But the really weird part was I was about an hour and a half away from them, so about midway into my journey. And they stopped messaging me and they blocked me. Funny thing is, my significant other messaged them to see, hey, what's going on? He got blocked too. And I'm like, what is going on? So I left my screen caps and everything on Facebook Marketplace and on the buy-sell trade groups in the state that they were in and some of the Corvette groups. And all of a sudden they just started getting blown up. And they're like, oh my goodness, take that down. We didn't block them. And we're like, no, you absolutely did. You absolutely did. We're blocked. So anyway, long story short on that one didn't go as well as or as bad as the one that I just told you. I did end up going to look at that car. The car was real. The people were real. I'm not sure why they blocked me. Everything was pretty cordial there. They were actually pretty nice. It might have been a fluke. I don't know. And that's how I treated it. I went and looked at the car, and it basically needed the whole fuel system gone through, and there was mold on the carpets and everything. So, I mean, it needed a lot of work. It had been sitting for a while. And, yeah, I offered them what I thought that it could be, what it would be worth, and it was basically a parts car in my eyes as far as it needing an interior. It would have been a great car for a high schooler, but not somebody that is intending to work on it, that is, that is wanting to do anything serious with it. Yeah. So anyway, that being said, those are my two big horror stories. I have others. But as far as buying stuff on Facebook Marketplace, it has been a hoot and a holler. And I started this year out with a bang. But I mean, the thing is, dude, could be real, right? Could have been a scammer that I was dealing with. This guy that ghosted me, or didn't ghost me. Just, I don't know what his deal was. For sure, he's. I've never seen somebody needing money so hard that they. So basically, the dude that was coming to look at stuff, he was going to buy the whole car off of him, and torn up, broken down and all, and it ended up not happening. I don't even want to know what he wanted for the motor and transmission and the body. I mean, what is one of these worth without a title? Zero. Because I mean, realistically speaking, could have been a storage unit purchase or something like that, but I don't know. All I know is it had temp tags on it, and he was driving it, and he didn't have a title. Maybe he didn't have a title yet, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, you go from 2,500 to 2,000 to 1,900 to 1,000. Well, weekend after New Year's, he would have had 2,500. Yesterday, he would have had 2,000. Fucking wild. I mean, my flabbers are gasted. I just don't know. I mean, maybe I screwed up somewhere in the conversation, but the only thing sideways that I said to him was, dude, that's fucked up. I mean, wouldn't you guys too? I mean, he gave me no indication that he was selling it to... Oops. Well, I thought I paused it there. But anyway, he gave me no indication that he had sold it or was selling it to other people or whatever. So, I mean, honestly, I really wouldn't have trusted giving him money in the first place, because he probably would have sold it out from underneath me anyway. And heaven forbid, maybe I would have sent him the $2,500. He would have flaked out on that too, which is really telling for the dude. I ended up blocking him on Facebook because I really don't want to forget who he is and then come back across him. So, I mean, it's really interesting because, I mean, I hate that when people try to be your friends on Facebook and, you're buying something. I mean, I don't mind building a rapport with somebody. And, I mean, as a man, it's fairly easy for men to relate with one another. And it's rare that I come across people that are... that behave like feral cats, I guess. Like, I don't know. This is going to sound sexist, but it felt like the entire conversation I was talking to his wife, because I'm like, just like a yes or a no question would be answered vaguely. And the old lady, she was even like that. She's like, is this his wife talking? Oh, my Lord. And I don't know. So anyway, I had yesterday, since I was off and I had nothing to do, I started ordering parts for the LT4. And that will be in a video that you're going to see before this video. So I'm going to start talking about that, and I will post this one as my Facebook shenanigans video, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening to my 2 Facebook horror stories. Share some of your horror stories in the comments below. Maybe I'm at fault in this. I doubt it. But I'll tell you, if it was a scam, if either of these 2 situations were a scam, I didn't get scammed. The only thing I did get scammed out of was, I guess, my time. But at the end of the day, I mean, it was, I don't know, quite entertaining to a degree, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next video, which is actually the video I'm going to record now, which is actually going to be seen before this video. Catch you in the next video, guys.